Perfect. Coach, whenever you're ready to start with the statement, then open up for questions.
Hi guys. I just, happy New Year to everybody and certainly glad to be where we are, getting ready to play ACC play, starting off pretty solid and whatever you guys want to know about, I'm happy to answer.
Hey, Courtney from snowy South Bend. Uh, what did your team learn from the first half against Georgia Tech and the long stretches against UConn, where the defense was hard to come by, and how they improved since then?
Just really good teams. I mean, Georgia Tech is a really hard team to guard. We changed our coverage. We went into our zone. We changed our ball screen coverage, and everything we did, they countered. They're a good team that also played well. It's a dangerous combination. Same deal with UConn in the first half. I mean, the first quarter of that game, good team that played really well. We had a few defensive lapses. I don't think we had as many defensive lapses against Georgia Tech. They made a lot of shots, quite honestly. So by and large, I've really liked the way this team has defended, both individually and collectively, and with their discipline. And it's really hard to guard good teams. We know that, and so we're not going to keep anyone down to zero.
So, how do you think the team's progressed defensively since Georgia Tech? I mean, it's been solid all year, just a
Yeah,
couple of blips.
yeah. I don't. Like I said, I don't think there's any noticeable shifts in Georgia Tech. I think we've been really good defensively all year. And I think the Georgia Tech game was the first half of Georgia Tech was more a combination of how well they played than how poorly we defended. I think we'd like to have that half back just to hope they don't play as well. But I think for the most part, by and large, defensively we've been really solid all year. So it just progresses day to day as we stack good days and they get more and more comfortable and more trust and more guys that are ready to play at game pace.
Courtney, with the game against Notre Dame kind of coming up, and of course they're number 3 team in the nation. They do so much well. They rebound the best in the ACC. They have the highest percentage from shooting from the field in the ACC. With a team like that, how do you try to slow them down? Speaking of defense, and trying to get them out of their game when they play so well during the season.
Yeah, Notre Dame, this might be the most talented team that I've coached against, really top to bottom. And I've coached against South Carolina national championship team. I've coached against obviously many good teams that over my years. But they've got really dangerous pieces at every position, and so you can't rely on, oh, well, hopefully their best two don't play well, or we can have some sort of system to deal with those two. The more, they've got a bunch of guys that can really hurt you. And so individually, we've got to be really good. And then collectively, we have to be really good. We got to keep people out of their plan A's individually. We know the actions that they like the best. They said they can't hear my audio. Well, might just be you because I think
I
everybody
think you're
else.
fine.
Yeah, might just be you, bud. Sorry. Anyway, so it's more about how good they are. We're gonna do what we do. We're gonna have coverages. We're gonna have secondary coverages. We're gonna have alternative defenses. We're gonna do all the things that we kind of do all the time. But we have great respect for the talent on their roster. We know how hard they are to guard.
And just with next week in general, just it's going to be a tough a week with them, and then you have to get ready for Duke. How do you kind of keep the team focused on this game without looking ahead to a big rival?
Oh, the ACC, man, it's just about stacking wins as much as you can. You get as many as you can. They're hard to come by. And so we were really focused on Georgia Tech, and then we were really focused on Miami, and now we're really focused on Notre Dame. We haven't even talked about Duke, right? And then we'll talk about Duke on Tuesday when we get back together after our off day on Monday. But honestly, like you saw what happened yesterday in terms of SMU beating Stanford. I mean, it's just these in Clemson beating Cal. It's hard to win in the ACC. So we don't. I have no fear, nor on my staff or my team, that anyone's looking too far ahead. Besides just trying to get one on Sunday and then try to get another one on Thursday and then try to get another one on Sunday and then try to get another one on Thursday. And when it all plays out, you hopefully have enough to be in a good position come tournament time.
Yeah, normally, with the opponent, you find the best player and put Lexi on him. But my goodness, who do you put Lexi on? Hidalgo, Miles? I mean, it's just so many prongs of challenges that I don't think he faced in quite a long time.
Yeah, I think last year we had to put Lexi on the best player. You had Renaya on Diamond Johnson. You had India on Page. So So no, we don't rely on any one defensive player. I think that's our strength really, is that we can have lots of different, you can see lots of different defenders. And but a team like this is not as much about primary defense as it is about what's happening behind the ball too, and so you really need five defenders playing really well, because they're too good one-on-one, right? And so I like our defenders because they've played well all year, but yeah, we haven't had to guard multiple top 10 draft picks on one team. And you think about Leah, who was the option A, all ACC player from Pitt, and now she's option 4. So yeah, this is a super talented team, and for beat writers, it's a fun team to cover because these are people that are going to be playing long into their careers, playing basketball, and so it's a great opportunity.
This question is kind of bigger than just just the next few games kind of coming up, but just in general at Carolina right now with Bill Belichick now being there, and then with the success that your team
Paris
is,
Teeter.
the
In food
success.
with love.
Can you mute yourself, or I'll just mute you? Cool. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
With the success that the women's soccer team has had, field hockey, all of that. What is it like just at Carolina right now with the athletics department, all the athletes together, all the success that's kind of coming in together, and how does that help you and your team try to strive for larger pieces of success during the season, seeing what's around you with everything there going on campus?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because it's the reason we're all here, right? I mean, it's you're around collective excellence, right? Excellence is a verb at Carolina, and I live it. And so the expectations are high. They hold themselves as well as each other on a peer group. They eat at the training table together for lunch every day, and you're rubbing elbows with, World Cup soccer players and Orange Bowl football players and Final Four basketball players and all the things. So it's just kind of what I came here for, and it's proven true, that there's excellence is a verb here, and that's really a fun way to go about it, is that your expectations are high, and also your fan base. I mean, your fan base cares about winning, and they lean in, and that's been fun to be a part of too.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Have you settled into more or less a 9-player rotation, or is that a sort of dynamic thing depending on the matchups?
Our program's in a constant state of evaluation. We film every practice. I watch it back right away. And then my offensive and defensive coaches on the side of the ball also send me sorters. So I kind of see it 3 times. So we're in a constant state of eval, which I think gives our program lots of life, because you're never put somewhere, right? And so, we kind of have a first 5 that we've trusted and that have started games well for us. And then, yeah, kind of from there, it goes with, how has the week progressed in practice? What does the matchup look like? Who else is playing well? So who they play well with? What does it need? Do we need more speed? Do we need more shooting? Do we need more defensive presence? Do we need rebounding? So it's nice to have options. As you know, RL, I didn't have that last year, so that's been really fun. And I got in this morning early, and you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids that are at 4 different hoops with coaches working. I mean, these kids are totally into it, and it's been really fun.
Would you like a week to prepare for Notre Dame, getting an off day so early in the league season?
The off day, we didn't have any last year because the way the year fell, and then we had to use our jump man as our off day. So that was really painful, not having an off week at all, with 6 players, and obviously how that played out. So we're happy to have one whenever we can have them, right? But we came back from the break and obviously played a really good Miami team at their place, and then had 2 days to really get ready for this next kind of the month of January. And so we haven't talked about Notre Dame yet. We start with them on today. It's Friday. And so we've kind of focused more on how looking back at how we play again in big, in the better opponents that we've played when we've been good and when we haven't been good, and tweaked in those areas, which will help us against every team, right? Which is what we want to do, because like I said, it's not, if you go out and beat Notre Dame and then lose to Duke, it's a 1-to-1 week. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking to sweep weeks, right? So, yeah, it was good to have 2 days to work on us, because you don't get it. That's what the bye week allows you to do. It allows you to get better at something that you holistically. And now we can lock in and do our prep of Notre Dame.
Chris, you got anything? Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, obviously the Duke and State games are huge always, but this seems like the most anticipated home game since league game since Louisville. I guess they were number 3 a couple years ago, and then you pulled out a narrow win. Does that feel like that for you?
It's a bummer that our students aren't on campus, quite honestly. No shade to our fans, but I really love our student fans. They're smart, they're fun, they're energetic. And we've been pretty consistently getting, thousands of them. And with them on break, it's kind of a poorly timed opportunity, I think, in that way, especially with it being on ESPN. And we'll have plenty of fans there, but it won't be that sixth man of student fans. So, in that way, it probably will feel a little bit different for me, quite honestly, because of what the students in the Carolina Fever bring to our environment.
Any update on Kayla?
No.
I mean, do you anticipate her playing this season at some point?
I mean, I'm always hopeful. I mean, she's running and all that. It's something we just take day by day, week by week, and make sure that we put our kids in the best position to be successful.
Um, what player has surprised you the most up to this point in the season? Maybe gave you more than you expected.
Oh, that's a good question. They've really, gosh, you know them so well. How many times you spend watching them, recruiting them, and then coaching them, and today is practice number 99. So it's spent a lot of time with them. I think I've been mostly pleasantly surprised with how they've stayed in it. It's a long season. Like I said, we're 99 days in of competitive opportunities of being evaluated and trained. And they come back for more with eagerness and with energy and with positivity. That's remarkable, right? So I'm not coaching effort and I'm not coaching camaraderie. I'm not coaching morale. And they've all brought in a light to this program in a way that's been really fun. So I think maybe it's how it's worked together. Maybe it's less so about one person, but more so about how it's all worked together. That's been really special.
What the way the game plays out, what kind of tempo would you prefer, and what kind of tempo do you expect? Because they play pretty fast.
Yeah, I'd like them to score little, right? I mean, they're quick they force a lot of turnovers, so they can change directions quickly. They have a lot of ball handlers, so anyone can bring it up. So they change directions just collectively quickly, right? And so the nature of a good offense is when you can score before the defense is set, right? The nature of a good defense is when you can get set. So I think both sides of the ball, we want to try to score and be aggressive and try to score before they're set as often as possible. So you're not playing against a set defense, and vice versa. They're going to want to do the same, right? And so, two good teams, it's about how quickly we can all get set so that we can defend together versus having to be in scramble mode, kind of game in, game out. But I think that's true of both teams.
A broad question on the ACC. My goodness, it's got to be the best league in the country. Just a juggernaut. One tough game after another. Is this
Sure.
the best you've seen it?
Yeah, I think what makes it so much so is sure there's got teams that are good in the Big Ten and the SEC. It was just that we don't have the bottom. Like there's no bottom to our league, right? So when you're looking week to week, you don't have 4 or 5 teams that you're like, thank God, right? I got a week with playing one of them, right? And I think there's teams in the AC and there's teams in the SEC and in the Big Ten where that's the case, right? There's some guys that are still working through it, I guess. And we just don't have that, right? And so yeah, I think in that way it's week to week, literally game to game, which is what just allows you, the previous question, not to look forward, not to look too far ahead, because you just got to find a way to win one at a time. So great coaches, great players, teams that are really competitive in terms of the product they put on the floor. I mean, everyone practices, but I'm talking about the product that the ACC puts on the floor at 1 through 18 is remarkable. And that's the top is the top, and the middle is the middle, and the bottom is the bottom in a lot of conferences. In the ACC, they're all pretty darn good.
Thank you.
Of course. Anything, Chris? Are you good?
I'm good. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you. Sorry I couldn't have a
Happy
picture
New
on
Year.
there.
Happy New Year, everybody. Go Heels. We're done. Thank you. we